Life is a journey which will be boring if it moves on a straight path. Most of the time it is sinusoidal, which means full of ups and downs. We call these ups as success stories and downs as problems. Fun in life depends on the way we handle these ups and downs. We have always heard stories like success went to his or her head. What does this mean? This means breeding of negative behaviors like arrogance, ego. It has taken over this person and obviously has had an adverse impact. In case of problems, it will get nervous, hyper, and react depending on the intensity of the situation and individual nature. Always believe in the fact that every problem has a solution. Maybe in other words, it has two sides, one good and other flip side. Let me narrate to you a story on this, titled as Positive Outlook. A beautiful example of interpretation and happiness. A man was writing about major happenings in his life, which goes as follows. Last year, I had a surgery and my gallbladder was removed. I had to stay in bed due to the surgery for a very long time. The same year, I reached the age of 60 years and had to give up my favorite job. I had spent 30 years of my life with this publishing company. The same year, I experienced the sorrow of the death of my father. And in the same year, my son failed in his medical exam because he met with an accident. He had to stay in the hospital with a plaster for several weeks. The destruction of the vehicle was another great loss. At the end, he wrote, "Oh God, this was such a bad year." When the writer's wife entered the room, she found her husband looking very sad and lost in his thoughts. From behind his back, she read what was written on that paper. She left the room silently and came back with another paper and replaced it with one of that of her husband's. When the writer saw this paper, he found his name written on it with the following lines. Last year, I finally got rid of my gallbladder, due to which I had spent years in pain. I turned 60. With sound health, I got retired from my job. Now I can utilize my time to write something better with more focus and peace. The same year, my father, without depending on anyone or without any critical illness, met his creator. The same year, the God blessed my son with a new life. His car was destroyed, but my son stayed alive without getting any disability. At the end, she wrote, "This year was an immense blessing of God and it passed well." Remember, the interpretation of the happenings in our life is key to happiness. Dear Lord, grant me the sincerity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.